In a land called Uz, a long, long time ago, there lived a man named Job. He wasn't a king, he wasn't a famous warrior, but in God's eyes, he was a true hero. Job was a good man, through and through. He was blameless and upright. He honored God in all he did, and turned away from anything evil. Imagine vast fields dotted with thousands of sheep, camels, oxen, and donkeys. He was also a devoted father. Job had 7 sons and 3 daughters. They would often gather for feasts, celebrating life and their family bond. One day, a scene unfolded in the heavens, far beyond human sight. Among them was Satan. God pointed out his servant Job. "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him." "Satan," the accuser sneered. The first wave of the storm hit with shocking speed. A messenger, breathless and terrified, ran to Job. Sabaean raiders attacked. They stole all the oxen and donkeys. They killed the servants. Fire from the sky, lightning fell upon the sheep, and the shepherds were consumed. A mighty wind swept in from the desert. The house collapsed. "All 10 of your beloved children are gone." In one horrific moment, his family was shattered. He stood up and tore his robe in mourning. He shaved his head, a sign of deep sorrow. He fell to the ground in worship.
"Naked I came, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised."
Immediately a terrible illness overtook Job. Sores erupted from the soles of his feet to the crown of his head. Job sat among the ashes, scraping himself with broken pottery, a pitiful attempt at peace.
Are you still holding on to your integrity? Curse God and die?
Shall we accept good from God and not trouble?
The storm had not just taken his wealth, it had ripped out his heart. Yet Job did not sin. He did not charge God with wrongdoing. His faith, tested by fire, did not break. The test was not over. A cosmic drama was about to unfold, with his life at the very center. When Job's 3 friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, heard about his terrible suffering, they came to comfort him. When they saw him from a distance, they could hardly recognize him. They tore their robes and sprinkled dust on their heads, joining him in his mourning. For 7 days and 7 nights they sat with him on the ground in complete silence. Job finally spoke, cursing the day he was born. He cried out in despair, wishing he had never existed. Eliphaz spoke first, kindly at first, but with a sharp edge. He suggested that Job must have sinned. After all, he argued, do the innocent ever perish? Next, Bildad spoke, and his words were even harsher. He accused Job of speaking empty words like a blustering wind. He bluntly told Job that his children must have died because they had sinned against God. Finally, Zophar added his voice to the chorus of accusation. He was the most aggressive of the 3. He mocked Job, wishing that God himself would speak and reveal Job's hidden sins. So, Job began to defend himself. He pushed back against their neat and tidy theology. He insisted on his innocence, not claiming perfection but integrity, devotion to God. His conversations became a powerful, raw, honest debate. He challenged their assumptions. The wicked often prosper, he argued. He saw injustice their rules couldn't explain. He longed for a mediator, someone to stand between him and God. He felt God had become his enemy. He was a man drowning in a sea of why, and his friends said it was his fault. Job's cries were prayers to the heavens. He poured out his soul to a distant, silent God.
"Why did you bring me out of the womb?"
He felt on trial for a crime he didn't commit, with no lawyer and no judge to hear him. His prayers were not polished. They were raw, unfiltered agony. His faith stretched to the limit, a man who loved God but could not understand his ways.
"I know that my Redeemer lives, and in the end he will stand on the earth. Though he slay me, yet will I hope in him."
Wrestling, arguing, crying out, yet never letting go. Holding on to his faith with everything he had, even when he had nothing left. A young man named Elihu, who had been listening silently, spoke up. He was angry with Job for justifying himself rather than God, and angry with the 3 friends for failing to provide a real answer. Elihu spoke of God's greatness and justice, suggesting that suffering could be discipline or a way to get attention. His speech served as a bridge, quieting the human arguments and preparing the way for divine revelation. Then, suddenly, the Lord answered Job. God spoke from the midst of a powerful swirling whirlwind. The voice was mighty, awesome, and untamed like the storm itself. God did not begin by explaining the reason for Job's suffering. Instead, he began with questions for Job. Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Tell me if you understand. Who marked off its dimensions? Surely you know. The questions were designed to show Job the vast difference between God's infinite wisdom and man's limited understanding. God continued his cosmic tour, painting a majestic picture of his power and creativity. He spoke of the sea, dawn, snow, hail, lightning, stars. He asked Job if he could command the morning or bind the beautiful Pleiades or loose the cords of Orion. God described the wild animals that roamed the earth, from the mountain goat to the wild ox, from the powerful horse to the soaring eagle. He showed Job a universe that was far bigger, more complex, and more mysterious than he had ever imagined. He wasn't giving Job an answer, he was giving Job himself. Humbled and awestruck, Job finally understood. He saw that he had been trying to put God on trial, demanding answers he had no right to ask.
My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you. Therefore I despise myself and repent in dust and ashes.
He got something far better, a personal, powerful encounter with the God who holds all things together. After Job's humble response, God turned his attention to Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar. He told them he was angry with them. "You have not spoken the truth about me as my servant Job has," the Lord declared. God instructed them to take 7 bulls and 7 rams and go to Job. They were to offer a sacrifice for themselves, and Job, the very man they had accused, was to pray for them. In an incredible turn, the sufferer became the intercessor. Job obeyed. He prayed for his friends, showing them grace they had not shown him. As he prayed, the Lord began to restore him. The tide of his epic trial finally turned. The long season of suffering was over. A new season of blessing began. God restored more than what was lost. The restoration was abundant and complete. God gave Job twice as much as he had before. His flocks and herds were doubled, 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, 1,000 donkeys. His brothers came to him, his sisters came to him, everyone who had known him before came to him. They ate with him in his house, they comforted and consoled him over all the trouble. Each person gave him a piece of silver, each person gave him a gold ring. He was once again a man of great wealth and honor. Most wonderfully, God gave Job family again. He had 7 more sons. He had 3 more daughters. His new daughters were the most beautiful women in all the land. Job gave them an inheritance along with their brothers. Job lived to see his children and their children for 4 generations. He lived a long and full life, 140 more years. His story ends not in ashes, but in abundance. It stands as a timeless epic of faith, a reminder that even in the darkest storms, God is present. And those who endure can emerge with deeper faith and greater blessing than before.